Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is giving you a review for The Leftovers Season 1, Episode 2. This episode was called Penguin 1, Us 0, and this was another fantastic episode. I love last week's premiere, as you guys know. I loved the premiere last week, and I thought this premiere was I thought this episode was a great follow-up. I really loved this episode. I loved all the storylines in this episode. There were a lot of storylines in this episode. But we'll just get to it. I think the first thing I'm going to talk about is Kevin, because he is our main character. There was a lot going on with him in this episode, and let's just get to it. So, Kevin has this weird dream involving Aimee. Basically, Aimee wakes him up in the middle of the night, takes him to the weird dog shooting man with chewing tobacco in the woods, and it turns out it's just a dream. Like, what was up with that? I don't know why Kevin is having these weird dreams, but twice now he's had weird dreams. Kevin then wakes up to find his neighbor has actually, his neighbor has, basically start a fire in the backyard, and the man was burning the clothes of a relative who disappeared 3 years ago, and Kevin then puts the fire out, but his own fence is torched. So, at work, Kevin's day continues to get worse as he sits on a couch next to an inflatable penguin, discussing with a therapist that night when he made a drunken visit to the guilty remnant, pleading with Laurie to come home. And Kevin tries to change the subject by asking about the penguin. And he says, I work with a lot of kids. They use it for aggression, the therapist says. And moving on, the therapist asks Kevin about the mystery man who he shot the dogs with. And Kevin asks, why do you keep calling him a mystery man? Because he doesn't know why they keep calling him a mystery man, because he just thinks this was a guy who was shooting dogs. And Kevin, starts to think, am I hallucinating? What's going on? And the therapist says, because no one else saw him. So, at this point, we're all thinking, okay, is Kevin hallucinating? That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, he's hallucinating or something, because, he's having these weird dreams, so maybe he is hallucinating. It would make sense, because he's having these weird dreams. So, yeah, that was definitely, very interesting. And, then what happens is, he calls Tom, but it's too late. Kevin leaves a message and hangs up, turning his attention to Officer Dennis. They can't find the truck of the mystery man, Dennis says. And Kevin shrugs it off, and the two go about their business, knocking on the door of the GR. And Patty, who is Laurie's supervisor, answers. And inside, Kevin meets Meg, whose hands are soaking in a bowl of cold water. We saw a lot more of Meg in this episode. I liked her character more in this episode. As I said last week, I didn't really see the point of her character, but I liked her character more in this episode. We got to see more of what her character's going to be like. And she basically tells the officer she is there of her own free will. But before he leaves, Kevin slides over his business card and said, if you ever want to talk, there are resources available. Feel free to call me night or day, he says. And Patty watches as Meg slides the card off the table and into her lap. And she's very angered. She storms over to Laurie, who's in the room. And Patty says she's going to leave, adding, you are too easy on her. And I'm going to talk about that when we get to Laurie. But, yeah, basically, that happened. So, at the station, Kevin identifies Meg and asks Dennis to invite her fiancé in for a talk, and Mayor Lucy then walks in and cuts to the chase. Lucy wants to know about Kevin's drunken visit to the GR and shooting dogs. He can't be doing things like that, and, basically Kevin just says, want a bagel? He pops a bagel into the industrial toaster, and, basically, she says to Kevin, I need you to stop pissing on the GR's front porch, okay? And Kevin agrees, but is slightly distracted because it seems like the bagel has disappeared. And before she leaves, Lucy says she'll be visiting someone that night. And Kevin says, tell him I said hi. And once Lucy's gone, he unplugs, shakes the toaster. Did the bagel really disappear? Like, we don't really know what happened there. So a short while later, Darren, who is Meg's fiancé, comes into the station, and he says Megan's with the guilty remnant. I'm assuming they've been following Megan for some time now. And Kevin says, they want to remind people of what happened, but what do they want? They want to recruit, he adds, suggesting Meg's on the fence. And Darren could convince her to come home, but he won't. Darren put off their wedding for 3 years, and Meg snuck off in the middle of the night to join the GR. And Darren is furious at this, so he storms out, and it's good timing because Dennis is calling, and he found the mystery man's truck. And Kevin says, "Where?" And Dennis says, "It's in your driveway. I'll just say we found a band a couple blocks from here." And Dennis says they are trying to protect his chief, who arrives on the scene. It's not my truck. And Dennis, someone else put it there, Kevin says. So he then goes back at home, and the man then knocks on his door, and it's the chewing tobacco. It turns out it's the chewing tobacco guy. And he won't give Kevin his name. So I don't know why he's not giving him his name or whatever, because if he doesn't give him his name, Kevin's going to continually think he's going insane. Which he could be, but we really don't know. He brought beer over. And Jill and Aimee do end up seeing him. They arrive home. They were gone for some other reason, which I'll talk about in a second. But they do arrive home and they see him. So obviously, Kevin's not going insane because other people can see him. And they then head inside, and the man says, I found another pack. I saw him slinking around the elementary school sundown. Tomorrow is when he wants. And Kevin is when he wants Kevin to meet him. And as the man walks away, Kevin tells him to take his truck, and he gives him his truck, basically. So Kevin then heads to a mental care facility with a jar of peanut butter and a plastic spoon. And inside, he spots Mary Lucy sitting with a man who is actually his dad. We get to meet Kevin's dad in this episode. And we meet Kevin Sr. And basically, Kevin Sr.'s exchanges pleasantries with Kevin Jr. on her way out. And Kevin says, hey, did you steal my bagel this morning? And she didn't. She's sitting down with his dad, and the two men have a heart-to-heart. Kevin Sr. suggests his son shows some vulnerability, and Kevin Jr. tells his dad how Jill and Tom are. Then he asks his dad about how which is his mental breakdown, started. And Kevin Sr. brushes it off and asks about chewing dogs, and then stops. And this is a very big scene, because Kevin Sr. might know why his son is going so insane. So, Kevin Jr. is very disturbed by the incident until his father says something else that resonates. And he says, someone came to see you. They said they sent or are sending somebody to help you. The dad tells his son. And Kevin says, help me with what? And his dad shrugs, I don't know, but whatever it is, you might want to keep it to yourself. So, then, back at the, Present, or however you pronounce it, Kevin then grabs the toaster, puts it on the table, and he unscrews it, and he pries out the bagel. So, he found the bagel and everything, so now he knows it's not going crazy. So that was good. So that was all that was going on with Kevin in the episode. I thought Kevin's plot was definitely very interesting. I really don't know if he's going crazy or not. We're gonna have to see. But let's go to, Tom. Tom's plot in the episode, or, no, we'll go to Laurie, then we'll go to Tom. Laurie had a lot to do in the episode as well. Laurie, we got a lot more with the character of Meg in Laurie's plot. Basically, after breakfast of pancakes, Meg heads into the woods, with the silent Laurie. Of course, they can't talk, they have to write everything down on a board, and honestly, it's really dumb. And, Laurie's carrying an axe, and when they reach a certain spot, Laurie leans the axe against a tree, and Meg says, you want me to cut it down? I thought you were bringing me out here to kill me or something. And before picking up the axe, she then picks up the axe and hacking the tree. And, that was interesting to see. So, Meg is exhausted from chopping, and Laurie hands her some water. And, Meg starts to just get really upset about this. And she's like, so what? The tree is supposed to symbolize my whole life or something? And Laurie takes a drag from her cigarette. She says, you know what? You guys are running a pretty shitty cult if you can't join. And, Meg then says it's not Laurie then says it's not a cult. And Meg gives up on chopping, complains about GR pancake breakfast, tree chopping. Laurie responds by writing, okay. Honestly, I understand why Meg is so upset. It's a stupid cult. They write down things on a board. They don't talk. She's just tired of their lifestyle because she feels like she's just not part of it. And she's kind of upset about it. So, she's kind of pissed about it, so I can definitely understand why she's upset about it. So yeah, that was definitely very interesting. So yeah, so the rest of it had to do with Kevin's plot, basically. Then Laurie's keeping up the GR practice of taking away Meg's personal items, and Meg protests, can we just have one night where I don't have to give you any of my stuff? And Laurie then writes, surrender. And Meg suggests Laurie doesn't remember what it's like to care about anything. And when Laurie shares her secret, I heard you met my husband today, Laurie writes, the hot cop and you're here, and Laurie says, I remember. And finally, Meg seems like she's ready to surrender. She says, I don't want to feel this way anymore. She's gonna live the way that she wants to, basically. And basically, in the last scene, an angry Patty walks into the sleeping area and kicks Laurie's bedding. And Hattie reads a sign that says she's gone. And Laurie looks crushed, but she doesn't have to be, because Meg is in the woods chopping at the tree, and I guess that she did surrender. So Laurie and Meg's plot is definitely very interesting. I'm wondering where it's going to go. I like seeing that Meg really doesn't want to be a part of this cult, but she is, so it's going to be interesting to see where that goes. Now let's go to Tom. Tom, by far, had the most crazy stuff out of anyone in the episode. Basically, remember that guy Wayne? Wayne Henry Gleecrest, aka Holy Rain? He has become a problem. Because in the 3 years since the Sun departure, he's made a name for himself by claiming to be able to hug the pain out of people. And his skill has made him powerful friends, including Tom. But his weakness is a penchant for Asian teenage girls, which nearly got him convicted on statutory charges in Philadelphia. So then we see two unnamed officers discussing the case to note he escaped by fleeing, but now the FBI has been given a tip on how to find him. Wayne sets up shop in Nevada, and we cut to a raid on Wayne's ranch, and a team of men with guns storm the property, shooting everyone but the teenage girls. And one of the men corners Christine, the girl Tom gave the gummy worms to in the premiere, and demands she tells him where Wayne is. Tom quickly does, and it's really crazy here. He's just like, where is... she's just like, where is she? Where is she? Where is she? He's just like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I mean, that was really crazy right there. So, Tom quickly comes to her rescue, shooting the man, and, he says, I'm sorry, she's important, and Tom grabs Christine, and they make a run for it. And by the way, after that, we saw the opening credits of the show, which are really cool. I like the opening credits of the show. They're definitely very cool. I like the opening credits. That's just a side thing I wanted to say, but I like the opening credits overall. So then, basically, at a gas station, Tom and Christine wait, and they're nervous over what he found inside, which was a dead clerk, and Tom calls the one person he knows he can help, who is his dad, whose phone is off, and as Tom hangs up, a car pulls up, and it's Holy Wayne. And Christine runs and jumps on him, and, basically, yeah, that's what ended up happening. So then basically Tom and Wayne had this conversation, and Wayne tells Tom they didn't come to arrest me, they opened fire before they even got to the house. And Wayne knows Tom killed the armed man back at the ranch to protect Christine, and after acknowledging that, he then gives Tom a mission, which is to take care of Christine, and Wayne gives the pair a wad of cash and a cell phone leaves. However, before anything else can happen, Tom gets in the car with Christine, and his car won't start up, so he just, screams, he's really pissed off. And, basically, that's how it's plotted into. His car will not start up. So, we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen with Tom and Christine. If they're going to be able to get out of there. Is he gonna be able to take care of her? Because, his car won't start up now. So, they're kind of screwed now. We're gonna have to see what happens there. But, that was definitely a very interesting plot. I enjoyed Tom's plot overall. And I thought it was really big. Now, the last plot we're gonna talk about has to do with Jill and, Aimee. Basically... I really enjoyed their plot. I like their characters. Jill and Aimee, they're hot as well, so that's a good thing. But basically, after passing Preacher Matt, who is handing out more flyers, suggesting the departed weren't special, Jill stumbles her way through the coffee shop, and she's tripping over the purse of Heroes Day speaker Nora. Nora was the speaker. She lost her whole family that day. It's really sad. And the bag ends up spilling open, and Jill spots a gun inside. And then she, it takes her a little while, but once they sit down, she tells Aimee about it, and from a few tables away, the girls watch as Nora knocks her mug off the table, on purpose, and it breaks onto the floor. And, the guy who's running the shop comes over, but when he sees it with poor Nora, who accidentally broke the cup, he's like, oh, Nora, I'm sorry, okay. Because everyone feels bad for her, and Jill and Aimee decide to follow her and possibly investigate her. So they take the twins, Scott and Adam, along for the ride, and they basically want to try to investigate her. That's what they want to do. So they follow Nora to a house called the Pattersons, where Nora is there about departure benefit, money inside. So Nora asks the elderly couple a series of odd questions about their son, whether he went to Brazil, had more than 20 she's like, I'm about to ask you a lot of really weird questions. These might seem weird to you, but this is a process we have to do, and I have to ask you these questions. So basically, they follow her to a house called the Pattersons, and she's there about departure benefit money, and she asks them very weird questions. Basically, if their son had more than 20 sexual partners, or if he spoke more than one language, so she can release the funds. and the distraught parents reveal that their son had Down syndrome and answer no to all her questions. And Nora apologizes but continues with a lengthy question list. And outside, Jill dares Aimee to peek into Nora's car to possibly see what's in there. And she does. She takes some candy from the glove department. Jill begins to honk on the Prius horn because, you know, she's just having fun that way. But Aimee bolts from Nora's vehicle, and Nora actually comes out of the house. She stares right at Jill, and Jill stares back at her. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's all that happened with Jill's plot. So, yeah, that was definitely very interesting. And that's all that really happened in the episode. So overall, I love the episode. That was another great episode. It was a great second episode. There are a couple things I am wondering, though. So Kevin, what is going on with Kevin? Is he losing it? We really don't know. Why doesn't the guy want to tell him his name? You know, what's going on there? We'll have to see. Why is Kevin, like, losing it? Why is he having these weird, like, dream hallucination things that's going on? Why is this happening to, specifically him? Why is it happening to him? We don't know why it's happening to him. What's going to happen with, Tom? As we know, Tom is stranded. His car broke down, so Tom's definitely going to have a lot of issues and trouble and things like that, so we'll have to see what happens with Tom, definitely. Now, Laurie and Meg. What do you think is going to happen with Meg? We know that Meg did surrender, but I kind of feel like Meg really does not want to be there because, you know, Meg actually talks. She doesn't follow all the rules. You know, she doesn't write things down on a pad like everyone else does. What's going to happen with that cult? We're going to have to see what happens. Now, Laurie seemed very interested when she heard that Meg met up with Kevin. So, do you think that Laurie is eventually going to go back to Kevin? I think she will, but not yet. What's going on with Nora? You know, what's going to happen with that? Why did Nora stare, like, right directly at Jill? We're going to have to see what happens there with Jill and Aimee. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that plot. And, I think that's pretty much all I have to say for this episode. But overall, it was another great episode. I really enjoyed this episode. It was really jam-packed. A lot of stuff happened, but I really enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying the show overall. I think it's probably, as I said, my second favorite show on HBO. I think it's a fantastic show. I'm really, really loving it. Just a really, really great show overall. Really loving it, and I can't wait for the next episode because it's going to be really, really great. So, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for *Halt and Catch Fire*. So, I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.